Welcome to Tasting with Matt and Mike. I'm Mike Veach, and this is my partner in crime, Matt Kohorst. And we're going to do the fourth in our series of our quest to find the wheated bourbon that tastes most like a Stitzel-Weller Old Fitzgerald. And today we're actually leaving the state of Kentucky. So far everything we've done has been made in the state of Kentucky. But we decided this time we've got the Nelson Greenbrier Tennessee whiskey. It's not actually a bourbon, it's a Tennessee whiskey, but it's a wheated recipe. And then we've got the Wyoming whiskey, which was designed and distilled by Steve Nally out in Wyoming there when they were first getting the distillery started. And it's basically whiskey that's made to the very close to the same recipe as Maker's Mark. Same distillation proof, same barrel entry proof, wheated bourbon. It should be interesting to see.
Yes.
So, the first thing, we got that really tough job of reacquainting ourselves with that 1966 Old Fitzgerald Venetian decanter.
Once again, my favorite part of the week.
Yeah. And remember, just don't drink it all because we've got to say something to do side by sides with these other two.
Now we've talked about this one plenty of times already.
Yes, but just to familiarize people with it, it's a lot of caramel, apple, a little nut, a little chocolate.
Just that classic.
Old Fitzgerald Stitzel-Weller recipe. This whiskey was made by Roy Hawes, their distiller, in the 60s. Let's taste it.
Just smooth chocolate, caramel.
Right. A little bit of that apple, a little bit of a baking spice.
Yeah. Some oak in the finish.
Some oak. Yeah, the baking spice and oak are the finish. Maybe just a hint of leather.
Yeah. Basically everything that you'd want out of
a really good bourbon.
A really good bourbon, yeah.
And let's just do it with cranberry to refamiliarize our palate. Brings out that fruit, the apple. It brings out the vanilla, the caramel,
like citrus note, fantastic.
Yes. And then let's try it with a pecan.
It's creamy.
Yeah. Really brings out the chocolate.
Yeah. Milk chocolatey. Just a beautiful bourbon.
So now, Nelson Greenbrier. This is a wheated recipe Tennessee whiskey. The only difference between this and a bourbon is that they do charcoal mellowing.
Which is a Tennessee style. Now these guys, they brought back the recipe, right? Is it Nelson Greenbrier? Yeah, because they had a distillery
before Prohibition.
Or the family did, and then they brought it back. How long ago did they start doing it again?
It's been about 6 years, maybe.
Okay.
But they're doing good work. I've always liked what they're doing. It'd be interesting to see how this does in a side-by-side with the Stitzel-Weller, because I always thought this was pretty good wheated whiskey, wheated bourbon. This is 91 proof, by the way, and about 4 years old. A little over 4. Very different nose.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, it's not as old as the Old Fitzgerald. It's 2 years short. But it's got a little bit of a kind of a vanilla smokiness.
Yeah, more vanilla than like caramel or chocolate.
Yeah, it almost smells like fresh baked bread to me.
Yeah. Like a little bit of the yeasty.
Yeah, a little bit of the yeast. A little chocolate. And the fruit to me is more, it's more cherry date than it is apple. What do you think?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would go with like a date. Yeah.
So let's.
To me, it's very different.
Yeah.
Yeah. It does it, and it gives me the cherry actually on the taste. And then I'm getting just a slight hint of like, I guess maybe vanilla. Maybe a little bit of vanilla. Yeah. It's sweet.
Yeah, but you also get that little bit of smokiness too that you get from that charcoal.
Yeah. So instead of like that oak finish, you get like that charcoal, smoky kind of.
Right.
Yeah.
On the finish.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little sweeter finish, not as spicy.
Right. Mm-hmm.
It's good whiskey, but
good
it's
whiskey.
not anywhere close to the.
It doesn't taste
Fitzgerald.
like, it's good in its own right,
Yeah. So let's try it for cranberry.
Okay.
Yeah, really brings out that more of that cherry date.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of vanilla. Actually, the cranberry to me brought out not only the smoke but also the wood. I get more of the wood on the finish.
Yeah. Yeah, very sweet, but the finish, it kind of hits you with that kind of wood, smoky.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. Mm-hmm.
So let's try it for pecan here, just to. Much more oak.
Right, yeah.
A little pepper spice even comes out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely like a black pepper.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm getting even like less hints of vanilla, maybe a little caramel in that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess the richness of the pecan. Yeah. Very good.
Well, let's look at it side by side with the Old Fitzgerald.
All right.
Very different nose. The Old Fitzgerald's much more rounded, full-bodied, lots of things.
Yeah.
And that could be that it's 2 years older than.
Right. Had more time to sit in the barrels.
More time to
Soak
soak
up
the barrel.
those wood flavors.
Yep. Big difference in the flavors.
Big difference in the flavor, yeah. Especially for me, the finish is pretty light on the Nelson Green.
Yeah.
Just straight. When you get a lot of flavor with the Venetian.
Okay, so
that one, not really like it. Good in its own right, but pretty far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not a contender.
Right. Yeah. I wouldn't say it's the closest.
No.
By any means.
So next we have this bottle of the Nelson Greenbrier. The Wyoming whiskey. I just noticed this bottle is really old. It's still got Steve Nally's signature on it. He hasn't been there for a few years. It's an 88 proof, but like I said, it's made basically with the same recipe, process as Maker's Mark.
Okay. Now,
So,
Steve Nally, was he part of Maker's Mark?
He was the master distiller at Maker's Mark until he retired, and then he went to Wyoming Whiskey and helped them set up their distillery. Now he's back at Bardstown Bourbon Company.
Okay.
But
Now this distillery, I guess, out in Wyoming?
yes, it's in Cody, Wyoming.
Okay.
Or Kirby, Wyoming. Kirby.
Got a little Midwest in here. That's nice.
So
It's good to know that people are making bourbon all across the
yeah,
country.
and this is all
Or whiskey.
Wyoming grown grain too.
Okay.
You know, the wheat, the corn,
Mm-hmm.
the barley, all grown in Wyoming.
Okay. I'm getting a lot of chocolate.
A lot of chocolate.
Does this one have an age statement?
You know, that's a good question.
Oh,
This
let's
is
say-
an older bottle. Yeah, this is only a 3-year-old. They've got a
3-year-old.
4-year-old product out now. So, this is only half the age.
I can smell that Maker's kind of.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
very similar to Makers. Not so much to the Old Fitzgerald, but there is some of the same qualities. I'm getting that vanilla. I'm getting a little bit of a nuttiness,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe even just a little bit of that apple.
I'm getting that apple for
Yeah.
sure. Like a ripe red delicious right at the
Yeah.
tail end.
So let's take a sip.
So I'm getting like a lot of similar flavors
Mhm.
with it, with the apple and the caramel and the chocolate.
But I'm also getting cinnamon spice on the
Cinnamon
finish.
spice, yeah. And you can tell it's a little bit muted because it's only a 3-year-old.
Yeah.
So it's like a lot of the same things, just 3 years younger almost. You
Right.
know, like so it's similar in that aspect to where like the flavors are
Yeah,
there,
you
just a
know,
little bit blander.
maybe I should have went out and bought a new bottle of this. You know,
Yeah,
where it would
older.
have, where it would have 4 or 5 year or more.
Because I'm definitely getting like a lot of the similarities there.
Because I was just noticing, I see on the back here, they say this bottle was bottled in 13. So I
No,
mean,
that's a 7-year-old.
yeah,
Yeah.
So that was 7 years ago now. So you know it's going to be older.
It's good
Maybe
stuff,
we'll have
though.
to do this again with the.
I'm surprised how good it is, especially for like a 3-year-old. You know, it's a good
Mhm.
3-year-old whiskey.
Yeah.
That to me like really brings out the maker's mark
Mhm.
of it. Like with me, I was like chocolate, vanilla, depending on the stave, you know, in the makers, you know. Like if you get more of those like toasted, like do they have the-
Well, you're thinking the Maker's 46, not the regular Makers.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's giving me 46 vibes right now.
Yeah. I mean, it does have a lot of that chocolate,
Mm-hmm.
caramel. I mean, it's good whiskey.
Yeah, definitely.
Pecan.
Getting a lot of caramel chocolate.
Mm-hmm.
Finish isn't quite there for me as much.
It's more oak driven than before. You don't get that cinnamon. It
Mhm.
kind of takes that cinnamon out of it.
Yeah. I still get a hint of the apple.
Mm-hmm.
Overall, really good.
Good whiskey.
It is good whiskey.
Like I said, I really wish I'd have thought about that and bought a newer bottle.
Well, we got plenty more videos to make.
We got more videos to make. We may have to come back and do this again.
Yeah.
But you know, I think the Wyoming whiskey is a contender,
Solid
that's in
contender.
it. Yeah, solid contender.
Mhm. I agree. Let's do a side by side.
Yeah.
Gosh, just let that sit for a few minutes.
Oh yeah. The longer this Old Fitz sits, the better it gets. I mean, it's almost like maple syrup on that.
Okay, yeah. Wish my house smelled like that.
Don't we all?
Yeah.
So between these two, I'm going to have to say the Wyoming whiskey is the closest.
I think so.
But I still think the 6-year-old Wilderness Trail is the closest overall. Now, what I need to do is go out and find a bottle of Wyoming whiskey that's at least 4 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And then try that against this with the 6-year-old Wilderness Trail.
Oh, that would be a good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you can taste in that one what it's gonna be.
Right.
A couple extra years in the barrel, 1 to 2 years.
Yeah.
Good stuff. All of it's really good.
Yeah.
I mean, the green Brier doesn't taste like that, but you know, like you said, it's that charcoal.
Yeah.
So it's not supposed to necessarily.
No,
it's weeded, but it's not necessarily supposed
it's
to.
interesting. I just kind of wanted to throw that in there to
Definitely.
see what a Tennessee whiskey,
Yeah.
how it would stand up to it. I like the Nelson Green Brier.
I really do too. Yeah.
But it's not the Stitzel-Weller.
Mm-hmm.
But it is interesting, you know, the Stitzel Distillery before Prohibition, from 1910 to 1919, they made George Dickel's Cascade whiskey there at their distillery down on Story Avenue for 9 years, and that included the charcoal mellowing process.
Okay.
So there is a Tennessee connection to the Stitzels and the Stitzel-Weller and everything. So it would,
Interesting. Yeah.
I thought it was worth bringing it in.
Definitely. Yeah.
So anyway, cheers.
Cheers.